foreign operation that's attracting most of the attention in the auto industry these days, and it's right here in the USA.
This may well be one of the most successful auto plants in America. American workers using American parts to build cars on American soil. But it's a challenge to the American auto industry because the management policy was written in Japanese.
Honda quality is the result of teamwork. It is the result of our togetherness as a team.
Honda, which today opened an entire new assembly line, has brought the Japanese work philosophy to Ohio. The people here aren't workers, they're associates. Everyone from the president on down wears the same white uniform. There are none of the work rules that strictly define each person's job in a traditional plant. And most significant of all, there is no union.
If an employer treats you good, go with it. You don't need the union.
I don't see any need for outside help right now.
To say that Honda's success puts pressure on unions across the country. If employees here don't need work rules, it'll be harder for unions to fight for them elsewhere.
At this GM plant in California, this Chrysler plant in Detroit, and this AMC plant in Wisconsin, the UAW has already been forced into work rule concessions. At Honda this spring, the union tried to organize but backed off.
My impression is that the UAW had very little support in this plant, and that's why they canceled the vote.
But the union has not given up. It says the Honda team spirit will wear thin as the relentless pace of the assembly line takes its toll.
It may take a while, but the need for the union will come up in the plant, and the people will realize it.
The UAW is betting that Honda will encounter the same labor problems as any other plant. Honda says it's found a genuinely new way to deal with its employees. The entire auto industry is watching to see who's right.
Butte, Montana is a tough American town, the old copper mining capital where 20,000 people once worked for Anaconda. But copper caved in, Anaconda moved out, and the big pit in the middle of town fell silent. Butte waited for copper to make a comeback. That's happening there now, but in a way that some old-timers in Butte find hard to swallow. A report from John Blackstone.
Shovels are again scraping away at a hill once considered the richest copper mine on Earth. It closed 3 years ago, unable to make a profit. New owners have new hopes. With all the blasting and digging, it's almost like old times in Butte. Almost.
They don't want somebody that has a union attitude.
Jim Riley, like many who used to work at the mine, has not been called back by the new owners.
What we're basically looking for is people that have skills and want to make this a profitable operation.
But what the company is not looking for is unions. This is a union-free operation, says a handbook given to all new employees. Hard words in a union town.
When you try and make an operation that was dead, a competitive operation, everybody has to take a bite of a very unpleasant sandwich.
But in Butte, it contradicts labor history.
This first one here is the Miners' Union Day.
But the town's unofficial historian recalls the oldest miners' union in the United States, Local Number 1, created in Butte in 1888.
There was a lot of unions in Butte. Nearly everything was unionized.
The Union Hall and the City Hall stood side by side, but the Union Hall wielded the power. Not anymore. Al Faulkner is part of Butte's union history. His father was a union man, so was he. But after 3 years without work and with a family to support, Faulkner has willingly gone back to the mine.
Let's get mining back together and get it going in Butte and leave well enough alone.
It's said if unions can die in Butte, they can die anywhere. Union membership across the country is now just 18% and dropping steadily at a rate of about 1% a year. A declining industrial economy has robbed workers like those here in Butte of the power they had when business was booming. When the mine here reopened, 3,000 people applied for 300 jobs. Even in the strongest labor town, it's now every man for himself.